here to talk to you guys about Enphase and what our value is and how we position our products in the market, okay? So let's talk about the company a little bit. I'm not sure how much you know about the company. It's not a startup. We started in the US in 2006. We're the world leader of microinverter technology. The inverter is that converts the DC energy to AC energy, right? We're a technology company, so we own all our patents, our IP, and all that stuff that goes along with it. And what differentiates us really from our competitors is really the quality. So we do a lot of testing, a lot of quality testing, and that's what gives us the ability to provide a 25-year warranty on our product, on the microinverter product. We have 24/7 customer support, which is industry leading. Nobody really has that in this industry. And our call times on the customer service line when somebody calls our customer service reps is really, really good. So, we're probably close to 80% of the market in Florida today. Nationwide, we're north of 60% market share. So really our quality and customer service that gave us the ability to achieve the success we've had. This is new. I don't speak Spanish, but I heard Nick talking about the IRA, the investment, whatever it's called, I don't know, the Inflation Reduction, right? Yeah. So we started to manufacture in the US. Now we are making all our microinverters in the US. We have 3 lines. We have one in Texas, in South Carolina, and Wisconsin. So all our production of the microinverter products come from the US. By the end of the year, I think all the 100% of the US market comes from US manufacturing. So this is an extra thing that you guys can offer to your homeowners. It's a US made product from a US company, right? A lot of companies are overseas and don't really have this kind of edge on the product. This is for micros only today. We're planning on opening up battery production by Q2 next year. So we'll have a US made battery product as well. So let's talk about our value proposition. What differentiates Enphase from everything else out there? When we sell solar today, and you guys sell this all day long, we're not just actually selling solar. We're selling a whole system, because PV used to be, the offset for homeowners' energy consumption, but now people starting to add energy storage for, backup capabilities and certain areas where the net metering is not great. You can use a battery to offset the charges. And now we have an EV charger. So, a lot of people getting, electric cars and stuff. So we have an EV charger product. And what's really important here is this little component here. It's called a HEMS gateway. HEMS stands for Home Energy Management System. So this is a revolutionary product that we already have in Europe. Enphase actually purchased a company in Germany that does software integration with different components. So what you imagine is in the future, you'll be able to integrate your heat pump, your AC unit, via software into the app. And the homeowner, if they have solar, PV and batteries and electric car and all these other components, you can manage your energy consumption the most efficient way. So we do like energy forecasting, where our AI-driven software system will figure out, how the homeowner uses their energy, and the system will figure out a way, what's the most efficient way of using it, based on the production of PV, what you have in a battery, what's the state of charge in a car, and all this stuff. So this is the future we're going to. So what the emphasis is the energy system. Even homeowners just get solar today. We have the ability with the IQ8 system on the roof to integrate a lot more stuff down the road. So basically you're future-proofing somebody's system today. Make sense? This is our app. You guys probably familiar and seen this before. The key is it's all in one, right? So you can get, I'm sure you guys familiar with many of our competitors out there. You can get different inverters for the roof, central inverter, micros. You can get different batteries that you can attach to the system. You can get another car charger. But the key is to sync everything into one app and one software system. That's what becomes very, very difficult and complicated, right? So what differentiates us is the one app and the whole one company kind of architecture with the controls and the software together. That's something that's very difficult to do, and we've been developing this technology. Most of you guys sold PV, right? As I mentioned, it's microinverter technology, so each panel has its own inverter underneath that converts DC to AC. And the advantage here is really that you don't have a single point of failure, right? If something goes wrong with any of these power electronics, you don't have a system-wide failure. If you have a string inverter on the wall, just one unit, responsible for the whole array, if that thing fails, everything is down, and you don't have a happy customer at that point, right? It's safer, we don't have high voltage DC, you know, it's just easier to sell and design. So there's a lot of advantages with the microinverters. On the battery side, very similar architecture, and this is very, very important because Enphase is the only manufacturer that offers this architecture. So if you look at any of our competitors' battery product, storage product, everybody uses a single inverter to do that conversion, right? From the battery to the home and charge the battery from PV. So if that single component fails, and let's face it, like everybody's stuff will fail at one point, right? It's power electronics, nothing lasts forever. Enphase at one point will fail. We have a 25-year warranty, yes, but at one point it will fail. It's reasonable to assume. So if you have a central inverter that's responsible for the conversion and providing, you know, power to the home and energy, if that component fails, the whole system is down, right? And at that point, most of our competitors not able to even service that product. You have to replace the whole entire thing. If you talk on the battery on the house, it's like a 300-400 pound unit. You have to get an RMA from the manufacturer. You have to roll a truck. You have to replace it, right? So that's kind of like the inherent architectural design of any other system. If you talk about Enphase, we place microinverters inside our batteries too. So there is no single point of failure in the battery. If something fails in one of our batteries, all the other stuff will still work. So it doesn't cause a system-wide failure, and the homeowners still have 100% of the energy from the battery that they can use. Maybe the power output goes down a little bit, but it doesn't cause, it basically provides maximum reliability, right, and maximum uptime. That's what differentiates us. It's very different from everybody else. This is kind of summary. Our industry-leading warranties on the micros is 25 years, I mentioned. Our batteries now have 15-year warranty, our new batteries that we just came out with. And then you'll see the software, which I emphasized before, that's very important. And this here, the Ensemble Bus, is the architecture of our system. It's an AC-coupled system. So basically, it's a lot easier to integrate with somebody's home with 240-volt single-phase architecture, right? There's other technologies that can do similar things, but this architecture is the simplest way to do this, right? And then I'll talk about the EV charging a little more. We have a new EV charger as well that has industry-leading 5-year warranty as well. So we're kind of making quality products. That's the key takeaway, I think. We're making quality products from one manufacturer with industry-leading warranties and support. I mentioned this. This is the all-in-one. You can get different components from different manufacturers. I'm not sure what you guys' experience is with that. But if you have your whole energy system from one manufacturer with one software and one support, it's just going to be a lot easier to install, maintain, get customer service, and all that stuff, right? So the use cases of our microinverter products, you guys familiar with this? PV only, so just somebody wants to save money on an electricity bill, you just install a PV system, you know, size it properly. IQ8 product will give you the fundamental system to be able to expand on that later on, because not everybody wants to have an energy storage system today, but they might want it next year or the year after, or a car charger. So basically the PV system that you sell today will give you the ability to expand on that later on, and the IQ8 product will allow you to do that. We have a use case called Sunlight Backup, which I'm not a huge fan of. Basically gives you very limited backup capability for a home without a battery, right? It's very limited. I would say in Florida it's not super reliable because we have lots of clouds all the time, right? And it's purely dependent on what the sun is doing out there, right? If you have a cloudy day, you're not going to have as much power. It's always best to install actually a battery with the system. And the advantage for us is that you can start the system with a small battery, right? We don't have a ratio. Usually, generally, when you sell batteries, you have to pay attention what's on the roof, how many kilowatts you have on the roof, PV, and how big your battery is. And you have to size it accordingly. With Enphase, you don't have to do that. You can sell a large PV system on the roof with a small battery. It gives you a less expensive solution for a homeowner to have a battery for just critical backup. And then later on, because of our architecture, they can always add more later on, like if they need to. That's what it means. You can start with one, and later on, or you can start with a lot if you want. But it's just a very flexible system that you can sell, and then with a system controller, you have backup capability in the system. If you want, like somebody really wants a lot of energy and they use a lot of power, you can do up to 16 batteries with our system, which is a lot. We haven't seen that a whole lot, but new batteries are being so powerful, it just gives you a lot of range based on people's needs, right? And then we have a load control feature that you can separately control a certain number of appliances, and it becomes part of the app, so the software will regulate how certain AC units run and things like that. That's an optional thing we have. Now, I kind of touched on the architecture of the system. There's a few things that are very important here. So I mentioned somebody could start with a small system, right? With a battery system. It will give you very limited backup for like a fridge overnight, some lights, router, internet modem, stuff like that. If you have somebody who wants a little more, you can always add more batteries. And as you add more batteries, you have the capability of backing up more power-hungry appliances, such as AC units, pool pumps, and things like that. So that's what gives you the flexibility, right? You can offer based on what customers need, what their budgets are and stuff. This is very, very important here, that the solar is on 100% of the time. Now, this becomes interesting when you don't sell an Enphase battery with an Enphase system, right? You sell some other battery. It doesn't matter what it is. Because if that's the case, sometimes that battery has to turn off the PV, even though it's sunny, when the grid goes out. And your PV is not going to be on until the battery starts draining, and it's just going to cycle on and off, right? So that's a huge advantage with Enphase, that doesn't matter what happens, if your battery is even full and you lose the grid, you're immediately taking over PV 100% production, and we don't have to touch the battery basically until the sun goes down, right? So 100% of the time is on the PV. It's very important. It's a very key differentiator. This is two different setups. I'm not sure if you guys have a lot of people who want generators. Basically, the takeaway is we can integrate a generator with our system. I have a slide about that just to explain. And if somebody wants a generator with their backup system, they just cannot have as many batteries, right? They can have up to 40 kilowatt hours. If somebody doesn't want a generator, they can have up to 80 kilowatt hours. That's the only thing you have to remember. We have a new floor mount. Gives you more flexibility how you place the batteries. Since they're hardwired now, you can place the batteries far away behind the house, out of sight. We have a pedestal that you can put the batteries on. You can put them back to back. So it just saves on wall space, gives you more flexibility on how you install them. This is a slide showing our power capability, right? So generally, in Florida, people want to have AC units backed up, right? Everybody wants to have the AC run when the grid goes out. And that's when the power becomes very crucial, right? Now, this slide kind of shows you a different size AC units and how many batteries you would need with Enphase and, for example, a Tesla Powerwall. So basically, you can offer a customer 3 batteries, Enphase batteries, 15 kilowatt hours, and back up the entire home with a 5-ton AC. If you're trying to do that with a different battery, for example, Tesla, you need to have 2 batteries, so which makes it a lot more expensive, right? And if somebody wants more runtime, you can always add more kilowatt hours to the system. But basically, you can sell a less expensive system for whole home backup with Enphase, right? That gives you the kind of like the leg up on anything else. This is a comparison about kilowatt hour to kilowatt hour with other technologies that we have. You can see the difference in terms of continuous and peak output. We're pretty much the most powerful battery on the market today. And if you're selling Enphase PV on the roof, like you're selling an Enphase system, it does not make sense to sell any other batteries because the pricing is very competitive, and the all-in-one system and the power just doesn't make sense selling anything else, right, with the new batteries. This is a new thing with our batteries. It came out of California. You guys probably heard about the new net metering rules in California. It's not very advantageous, and we can basically offer a system now without the backup capability, just with a battery, and just kind of solve net metering. Like if you have like Lakeland or Peace River, some JEA territory, with really bad net metering, you can sell a system, just the battery and the PV, no backup, and it's a less expensive system, but it solves the net metering problem. People basically can run their system in self-consumption Whatever they produce during the day, they put in a battery, and then at night they use it, right? So they minimize the import from the grid. It is a new system. I'm not sure if it's going to take off in Florida specifically, but this is something that's available. And this is just a regular backup system with a system controller. Everybody pretty much now with the new batteries does whole home backups. Nobody does partial home anymore because the power gives you that flexibility, not having to take circuits out, just back up the entire home. Blackstart, it's an also very different, it's a key differentiator for Enphase. So I don't know if you guys know what happens if you have different PV and storage on a house, right? People can, in a blackout, drain their battery, right, to zero. Like there's pretty much drained overnight. And in the morning, if the grid is still out, the battery doesn't have any juice in it, so it cannot give that reference voltage to the solar system to turn on, right? So even though it's sunny outside, the grid is out, your battery is empty, but your system is useless because the PV can't come on and start charging the battery and power the home, right? So that's what happens when you pair like an Enphase system with some other battery. That's what happens. If it's a multi-day scenario and a homeowner is not able to manage their usage, they're pretty much dead in the water. With Enphase, because we have IQ8 on the roof, it's self-starting, it's a grid-forming inverter. Even though you drain your battery to zero overnight, the PV will wake up in the morning and start charging the battery and power the home. It's a huge differentiator that people are not aware of, right? And you cannot have this with anything else but Enphase. The generator, again, I'm not sure if you guys are gonna sell this a lot. It's a feature that we have available, so I want you guys to understand how this works. Normally, if you have a generator system with a energy storage system, PV system, you have a transfer switch, right? And as long as you have available PV and storage, like energy in a battery, that's what's gonna feed the house. The generator is not gonna run, right? Now, if the sun goes down and you drain your battery, then this transfer switch will switch over to generator, and the generator will start powering the home, right? 100%. The downside here, if the next day the sun comes up, the generator will still, power the home. The PV is not gonna come on, and the storage system not gonna work until the grid comes back on. So that's just a limitation of the generator system traditionally. With Enphase, you can integrate a generator with our storage system, and everything runs in sync. We have a software, that's running, and based on features and settings, the generator will run and charge the batteries if needed and feed the house. So basically, you can still utilize fully your PV and storage. Everything runs together. Again, I'm not sure, it's not a huge adoption, but a lot of people who have generators already that like to integrate their stuff with our system, right? So that just gives you the possibility to do that. Little bit of summary on that. The 15-year warranty, I think, is very, very important on our batteries because no other manufacturer in the market in the US, and it's actually worldwide, I think, nobody offers 15-year warranty, right? So that's kind of a testament about our quality and everything else. And with the price being so competitive, it just makes a lot of sense to sell Enphase, right? And the wired communication, it's a reliable system. We had some challenges with the previous system, but this system is bulletproof. So hope you guys see the value there. I'm gonna talk a little bit about commercial. It's a new product for us. I'm not sure if you guys sell commercial. I know Nick is doing some. All you have to know about commercial, it's also a 1-to-1 microinverter, so similar value. It's a 25-year warranty product, and it's a 3-phase 208 volt architecture, right? So for small commercial, from like 20 kilowatts to like maybe a megawatt, any kind of small commercial projects, you can look at Enphase. This is actually starting to ship now. It's a brand new product, and it's very competitively priced. Again, similar values, no storage, just the PV, but it's a very, very cool product that we're coming out with. We didn't really have a commercial, offering so far, but now it's a true 3-phase product that you guys can sell. EV chargers, I know Nick talked about EV chargers a little bit. This is also a new product. We're starting to ship this now. It's a connected solution, very, very differentiated solution that's other than everything else out there. Enphase purchased a company a couple of years ago called Clipper Creek. It's a California company. They basically had #1 market share in the US on the EV charger space. You probably see their units at hotels, commercial, like a lot of commercial chargers they had. So Enphase bought this company because of the quality and just a lot of synergies there. And now we rebranded everything to Enphase. So Enphase owns now all the technology, and we're really focused on the EV charging market. What it does, this is what it looks like, the new IQ EV charger. And I said differentiated because it connects to your app, right? So you can run this charger in self-consumption mode, which means, let's say somebody doesn't have batteries yet, but they have an EV. Then if there is excess solar production that the house cannot use, instead of feeding it back to the grid, the charger will turn on and ramp up and down based on available PV, right? If if somebody comes in your house and your consumption goes up, the PV will ramp down. So it has different stages of charging what it can do. And then you have the different flavors based on how fast people want to charge, different amperages breakers and things like that. So it's a you know, you can have multiple kind of offerings. I think the most popular one is the 32 amp and a 40 amp version. And we have, you know, like a 25. It's a lot of different variants that we have that others don't, like the cable size, the cable length is longer than anybody else. The warranty is 5 years instead of all of our competitors pretty much 3 years. You know, and I think it's cool because it becomes part of the app, right? So people can have the control in the same app. And if you sell an Enphase system, it just makes sense to sell the same brand charger, right? The same company, same warranty support, and then you can run it in different modes, right? And that's what people want now. They want the control, right? That's what they want. These are our future products. Everybody is really talking about the vehicle to home, vehicle to grid, you know, the bidirectional stuff. We have that technology for the future. It hasn't been released yet because there's a lot of code issues, compliance issues, communications issues they have to figure out with the EV manufacturers. We're working with all the major EV brands out there, you know, from the Europeans to Americans to the Japanese. So we have the technology. It's just whenever the car manufacturers are ready to launch this feature, we'll be right there with them, right? So the current product is not going to be compatible with that feature. It's a different hardware. But if people buy EVs today and they have an energy system from Enphase, it just, again, I think it makes a lot of sense to have an Enphase charger. Just a little summary here. Again, these are our values that I kind of list here that differentiates us from everybody else there. The all-in-one system I mentioned, you know, it's a seamless, one software, one support, one warranty, all that stuff. No single point of failure is super important. I don't know if you had customers before whose inverter went out and it took a while to replace it or repair it, and you had to write a check for lost production, right? With Enphase, you're most likely not going to have that issue because, you know, if one inverter goes out, you're not even going to notice. The battery, I mentioned the power on the battery, most powerful battery on the market, right? If you sell Enphase, again, sell Enphase on the roof, doesn't make sense not to sell Enphase batteries. It just doesn't. PV is on 100% of the time. I think you see the value in that. Like, we don't have to cycle the battery and the PV on and off. It's on all the time. Sunlight Jump Start, that's I reference as a black start capability again. You know, that starts up in the morning if you drain your battery at night. Huge differentiator. The warranties speak for themselves. You know, 25-year on micros, 15 on battery, 5 on EV charger. And I didn't mention, but Enphase actually publishes failure rates. And our failure rate on the microinverters is 500 parts per million, which is the best in the industry. It's really, like, really, I'm not sure how much you guys deal with the backside, the operation side of things, but if any of you does, I hope you can attest to that our quality is really, really good. And the customer support, I mean, we're there. We have now field service techs in the field. Like, we hired, I think we have around 100 guys in the States that actually in the field and helping to installers to fix systems if there's an issue, right? And we can do board level replacement, so you don't even have to replace whole batteries anymore because we make everything serviceable, and we have all the support, customer support. Made in US micros. I mean, I'm not sure if any other manufacturer, I'm hearing rumblings about other manufacturers starting to make stuff here, but I think we were one of the first ones to start making US micros. and the serviceability that, you know, we can service these systems without you guys having to replace entire batteries and components. You know, we made it serviceable where actually the boards can be replaced, which is a lot faster, quicker, and less expensive, right?